What is up, my brothers from another mother? So here I am, I guess the world's father that they never had. There's not a day that goes by where somebody doesn't message me or put in a comment of a video that says, I wish I knew this 6 months ago or 9 years ago before insert this happened. You're like the father I never had. So here we are today, about to drop some cold hard truth bombs in Bomber Command. I got a comment in a recent video that I did, which was basically dating advice for guys in their 30s. It was very well received, so thank you everybody that participated in the conversation. And this particular subscriber shared his own personal story. So I suppose the point of this video is, should I marry a single mother or a divorced mother? Is basically how it goes. So I'm going to read you his story, and I'll throw some of my feedback and comments on it as we go and at the end. I know that some of you ladies are going to be watching this, so hold on tight and watch it straight to the end, and you can, comment then. Gentlemen, this is something that you need to be aware of. This is kind of like red pill awareness. It definitely adds to your mental health if you can digest and consume this information, and make sure that you view the world with this lens of hypergamy. Here we go. So he says, about 4 years after my divorce, he says, I'm a 43-year-old male, met a woman who's 40. And after 1 year of dating, we started talking about marriage. She had a son who was 13 years old at the time. While having dinner after ring shopping one evening, we started talking about her son's schooling and where we were going to live. I was still renting a house after my divorce, but I wanted to purchase a nice new home for us. So he's doing, what society tells him is the right thing. The following day, she sends me a text message saying that she wasn't going to compromise on sending her son to private Catholic high school, which is the second most expensive school in our area, which was $11,000 a year. And this woman made $32,000 a year before taxes at the time. So she wants to spend 1/3 of her income roughly on her kids' private education, which she can't afford to pay for herself. So she's trying to rely on this gentleman to cover for her. The story gets better, so sit tight and just listen up. I had to have a conversation with her about how she was going to afford this school. She became irate during the texting conversation. I wasn't completely opposed to the school because I was raised Catholic and attended a private Catholic high school. But my issue was, after we started discussing marriage, she was already making financial decisions on her own that were going to affect me. I thought that was completely wrong. So this is where guys start to get better in their life, where they start to listen to their intuition and subscribe to it and really honor it. Younger guys don't do that very well. So gentlemen, listen up to the rest of this story. The argument escalated to the point where escalated to the point that I told her to come to my house. We live separately, and to get her shit. I was done arguing with her. Now she wants to talk about it. So, let's keep going. She comes over and I explain my viewpoint, and I tell her, what, for instance, a week before the wedding, I show up with a new $125,000 Porsche. How would that make you feel, knowing that you're about to marry me and we had to pay for this expensive car loan? The light finally went off in her head. So what he's describing there is not a light that went off in her head, acknowledging that her argument was silly and that she might have been taking advantage of him financially, and that she should probably capitulate and maybe be more of a contributor to the relationship and where it was going. But it was, okay, this argument isn't working. I've got to redirect my efforts. Listen up through the rest of this. Guys, I'm sorry to tell you this, but many women won't love you. Not the way you want to be loved anyway. They are incapable of loving you the way that you love them. They love the idea of life that they will have with you. Women, I would agree with that. Women are incapable of loving you in the way that you would expect to be loved. It's a true story. If you've read The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi, he kind of gets into that in many parts of the book, but dedicates a good part of one chapter to it. Linked in the description below, by the way, if you haven't read it. To briefly wrap up this story, we got back together. We got engaged. Now, what typically happens is when she comes over to get her shit and she wants to talk about it, and the light that goes off in her head, I suspect the part that he's probably leaving out in his comment here is that they had the epic makeup sex. And that's usually what pulls guys back into nonsense conversations, relationships, and all that stuff. that they know that their intuition talks to them. It's this little quiet voice that talks to us that we often just turn around and go, no, I'm not going to listen to you. You don't know what you're talking about. And then along comes, Ms. Wrong, who wants to talk about things and have a conversation about it, which usually ends up in epic makeup sex where she does all the naughty stuff that we like. But hold on, let's keep going and reading off the story. There are good women out there, but there's also a glut of vampires. When you are younger and you find love, you build to plan a life together. Once over 30, too many are looking for a fix to their failed life, an upgrade to the life that they feel entitled to, and one in which they're not willing to work for themselves. This is what hypergamy is. Women marry up. The doctors, lawyers, physicians, successful business people, entrepreneurs will often marry, regular women. Sometimes they'll engage in dating single moms and have conversations about getting married because they're looking for the security. It doesn't work the other way around. You'll never see a successful woman in a position who might be a doctor, physician, lawyer, accountant, something like that, that will marry a guy that drives a taxi cab. They just don't do it. They're smarter than us guys that way. Women do marry up. So you have to be aware of this. This is red pill awareness. Let's take the red sweater on and do the red pill awareness thing. Open your eyes to it, guys. Feel entitled. Okay. To briefly wrap up the story, we got back together, we got engaged, and after she had the ring on her finger, she thought she had me, she had won. The sex changed, she changed. It slowed down. She became argumentative during the house shopping and generally became irrational about where we were going to live and about the small wedding we were going to have. She had issues about the house purchasing and the wedding, which made me realize this woman was in the relationship for what she could get out of it. I finally broke it off with her 2 weeks before the wedding because she hadn't seen me to the prior 2 weeks because she didn't want to fight about the wedding. Good job, man. You listen to your intuition. Thank you. You are a rational male. A lot of guys will keep plowing through because the planning, the invitations, the bookings, the da-da-da-da-da. Gentlemen, if you have a niggling suspicion, that little voice that's going off and you're like, huh? Listen to it. It is telling you something. It is picking up danger signs. We try to rationalize a lot of stuff with what goes on in our head, but it's the stuff below the neck, our heart, our gut, that speaks to us on a regular basis and tells us whether or not we're making good or bad choices. This is why I'm here. This is why I make these videos. I want you guys to become a better version of yourself and walk through life with a lens that allows you to see the truth in the world that you're living in. So she had issues about the home purchasing, the wedding. Nothing made her happy. She didn't want to see him 2 weeks before the wedding because she didn't want to fight about things. These women are out there in vast numbers. They have an internal monologue that differs from how they act. I've said this before. Don't listen to what women are saying to you. Watch what they do and how they behave. That's where the truth comes from, okay? They have an internal monologue that differs from how they act. They have a mask on, and if you don't see through it, you will pay an emotional and likely financial toll. Huge. I've said this before. There's nothing more damaging. There's nothing that a guy can do that's more damaging to their life, their financial wealth, and their future than choosing the wrong partner. So in closing, he says, through a twist of fate, okay, so he's called it off at this point, thankfully. Also in closing, through a twist of fate, my ex-wife ended up working in the same building as my ex-fiance shortly after we separated. Those two started talking, of course. I need to mention that my ex-fiance lived with her parents. They had a large home, so it made sense for her to live with them. Anyway, my ex-wife sends me a photo of a text, so I guess a screen capture of a text message where my ex-fiance tells her that I was just a means to an end and she wanted a house and I was getting us one. On the top right of the screen, you're going to see a card to my experience dating a single mom. You're going to see a card to a video that I did moons ago called Hypergamy 101, which is a guy sharing his own version of his story. So check those out. Gentlemen, open your eyes, become a rational man, and recognize the world that we live in and the default programming in which women operate under. They look to trade up. They look to get a better deal. All you have to do is read some of the comments in many of my videos where guys are sharing their experiences. I mean, there's a reason why I call you guys my brothers from another mother, and this is a tribe. It's because we're helping each other become a better version of ourselves and learning from these stories. We learn from experiences as men. You know, we're not classroom learners. You know, of course, maybe we could consider this, you know, classroom learning, but as men, we learn from experience the best. And there's no better teacher than actually living through it, or hear somebody that's actually lived through it. Often the brightest light comes from the burning bridge, and you don't see things for the way that they really truly are until you wrap up that part of your life and you see that flame burning the bridge down, and you really see, wow, that's something that I really avoided or I really learned from. I'd like to hear your comments below in the notes. Of course, like the video and share it with somebody that needs to see it. What I'll do is I'll copy and paste his message in the description below as well, in case you wanted to read the message as well. And I'll link the video that he commented it in. But this is important stuff, guys. You know, if you're going to get into a relationship with a woman, a serious relationship that involves marriage, buying a house, she wants you to send her kid to private school and you pay for it. Gentlemen, don't be a cuck. You know, live your life. You need to get your finances in order and live your life. This guy went through the ringer probably once already with a divorce. Now he's married. You know, then he started dating a woman that was, you know, single mom, or, you know, divorced mom with a kid, and she's looking for the meal ticket. She's looking for the security blanket. You know, guys, as you know, as life travels on for us, our wealth, our level of intelligence, listening to our intuition, it goes up. And for women, I did this in a wall video. I'll put that card up as well. It goes down. You could see that he actually dodged a pretty incredible bullet here. So again, thank you for sharing the story. Leave a comment below, and of course, browse the rest of the channel. Also, guys, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, there's a card link at the end card. Any support would be appreciated. YouTube doesn't really want this sort of content to be shown to new viewers as a recommended video, so it really helps if you can either support the video as a Patreon or at least leave a comment below, smash the like button, and forward this to somebody that needs to see the message. Thanks for checking it out. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace!